I thought my passion was gone until one night changed everything when a stranger handed me a beat-up guitar in a rainy bar. I made a promise I couldn't keep. 2 weeks later, my safe life was in pieces, and I had to choose between comfort and the fire I buried. I didn't notice when my days stopped having edges. At first it was harmless, skipping practice because I was busy, letting my guitar case slide behind the hall closet, telling myself I'd play again when work calmed down. Then months passed, and the only rhythm in my life was calendar alerts. I'd wake up, check email, ride the train, sit under fluorescent lights, and come home too drained to do anything but scroll. I'm Ethan, 34, living in Chicago in an apartment I picked for convenience, not joy. I worked at a consulting firm called Northline, clean offices, polite stress, endless slides. It wasn't a nightmare job. It was just quiet, the kind of quiet that creeps into your chest until you can't remember what you used to feel. In college in Milwaukee, music had been my oxygen. My friends and I played in living rooms, wrote songs on napkins, and stayed up late arguing over melodies like it mattered. Back then, I swore I'd never stop. I didn't plan to stop. I simply drifted, one real job decision at a time, one I'll do it later promise at a time. The night things changed was a Thursday in late September. Jordan texted me, "You alive? Come out. One drink." Jordan was the kind of friend who refused to let me disappear into spreadsheets. I almost said no. Harper, my project lead, wanted revisions by morning. But something in me flashed a warning: if you don't go tonight, you're going to blink and be 40. So I went. Jordan took me to a narrow bar in Logan Square with warm yellow lights and a tiny stage lit by 2 mismatched lamps. It smelled like citrus and old wood. I was settling into the booth when a voice cut clean through the noise, clear, steady, and fearless. On stage stood a woman with a short, dark bob and a denim jacket. She adjusted the mic like she owned the room without needing anyone's permission. "Hey," she said, "I'm Ava. Open mic tonight. Sign up sheets by the bar. If you're brave, come be brave with me." People clapped. Someone whistled. And my chest did something I hadn't felt in years, like a door cracked open. Ava stepped off the stage with a clipboard, walking through the crowd, making eye contact like she believed everyone had a song inside them. When she reached our booth, Jordan pointed at me like he was handing over evidence. "He plays," Jordan said. "I used to," I corrected, hiding behind a technicality. Ava looked at me, eyes sharp green. "Do you want to play?" she asked. My brain started shouting reasons not to: tired, rusty, embarrassing, pointless. But Ava's expression was calm, almost kind, like she'd seen this fear 1,000 times. "What's the worst that happens?" she asked. I swallowed. "I didn't bring a guitar." Ava nodded toward a beat-up acoustic leaning by her stool. "Use mine," she said. Then she placed a plain black pick on the table like a dare. "If you're feeling called, don't ignore it." I stared at that pick like it weighed 100 pounds. I didn't sign up right away. I watched instead. Ava opened with a song that started soft and then broke open like sunlight. Other people followed, poems, shaky covers, a woman who forgot her lyrics and laughed until the room laughed with her. The bar turned into a tiny community stitched together by nerves and applause, and something inside me kept knocking. Before I could talk myself out of it, I walked to the bar, picked up the pen, and wrote my name, Ethan. When Ava called me up, my hands went slick. Jordan whispered, "Go," like it was a rescue mission. Ava handed me her guitar without hesitation. It was warm from her hands, the finish worn near the sound hole. I sat on the stool, the lamps blurring faces into shadows, and tried to remember how to be the version of me who played without shame. My fingers found a G chord, then C, then D, the simplest progression in the world. I started strumming, and I sang a small song I'd written years ago about standing on a rooftop at midnight, believing the city lights were a promise. My voice wasn't big, but it was mine. When I finished, there was a beat of silence, long enough for dread to surge, then applause. Warm. Real. Ava smiled at me like she'd watched someone step back into themselves. Later, she slid into our booth and pushed a water toward me. "Hydrate," she said. "Stage nerves are a liar." I laughed shakily. That was a lot. "You weren't performing to impress," Ava said. "You were performing to remember." That sentence followed me home. So did the feeling. That night, I opened my closet and dragged out my own guitar case. Dust coated my fingers. The strings were dull. I should have shut it again. Instead, I sat on the floor and played those same 3 chords until my fingertips ached. The ache felt like proof I was still here. The next morning, I tried to practice before work. I strummed quietly, still half asleep, until a knock hit my wall, my neighbor letting me know the building had opinions. For a second, shame rose up fast and hot. "See, this is why you stopped. You're bothering people, you're taking up space." Then I remembered Ava's face on the stage, steady, unapologetic. I put a blanket over the strings to muffle the sound and kept practicing anyway. The next week I went back to open mic. I played again, messed up a chord, laughed, kept going. Afterward, Ava said, "Come to rehearsal." "Rehearsal?" I asked. "My rehearsal," she said. "I've got a small Saturday set. I need rhythm guitar on a few songs." I tried to refuse. She didn't let me. "If it's terrible," she said, "we'll eat tacos and pretend it never happened." Saturday, I showed up to a converted warehouse space near the river. Lucas played bass like a heartbeat. Harper, different Harper, a keyboardist, made jokes and kept the energy light. Ava ran rehearsal like she was building a bridge out of sound. The first time we played together, my timing wobbled. Lucas stopped and said, "You're rushing." "I'm nervous," I admitted. Lucas pointed at the metronome app on his phone. "Nervous doesn't get to set the tempo," he said. "Breathe, listen, lock in." It wasn't mean. It was honest. And something about that kind of honesty felt like respect. All week I practiced on my lunch breaks, tapping rhythms on the edge of my desk like a secret. On the train home, I listened to the set list and mouthed chord changes under my breath. I wasn't trying to become famous. I was trying to become present. 2 days later, work tried to pull me back under. Harper called me into a glass-walled conference room and said, "New project. Client in Dallas. High visibility. I want you leading the work stream." She laid out the travel schedule like it was a gift, Monday through Thursday for 12 weeks. I should have smiled. That's what ambitious people did. Instead, I felt my stomach drop. 12 weeks meant no rehearsals, no open mic, no Saturdays. It meant shutting the door again on the part of me that had just started breathing. "I need to think," I said. Harper's smile tightened. "Opportunities don't wait." I surprised myself with the truth. Neither does my life. Back at my desk, my hands shook so much I couldn't type. I found myself walking to the stairwell, sitting on a concrete step, and staring at my phone like it might deliver an answer. Old me would have said yes immediately and then complained privately. New me didn't know how to do that anymore. That night at rehearsal, Ava took one look at my face and said, "Talk." I told her about Dallas. I told her I felt split in half, one side trained to choose comfort and approval, the other side furious at how numb I'd been. Ava listened, then said, "You don't have to burn your whole life down to change it, but you do have to choose. Otherwise, someone else will choose for you." "What if I choose wrong?" I asked. Ava shrugged. "Then you choose again. Passion isn't one decision, it's a practice." On Friday, I met Jordan for coffee and I admitted the part that embarrassed me most. I'm scared that if I make room for music, I'll find out I'm not good enough. Jordan snorted. "You're not trying to be the best guitarist alive," he said. "You're trying to be yourself again. Those are different games." That weekend's show was small, a room behind a coffee shop with string lights and maybe 40 people. Right before we started, my hands went numb. I stared at the stage and thought, you can still run. Nobody would blame you, you're busy, you're tired. Ava stepped close and whispered, "Look at me." I did. "Breathe with me," she said, and we took one slow breath, then another. "You're not here to prove anything," she said. "You're here to feel." When we played, my fear loosened its grip. Lucas's bass held steady, Harper's keys danced, Ava's voice lifted the ceiling. My guitar filled the spaces between like I belonged there. After the set, Ava handed me water and said, "How you feel?" "Like I've been holding my breath for years," I admitted. That night we ended up walking to a taco place, the four of us squeezed into a booth, laughing like we'd known each other forever. At some point, Ava asked me, "Why'd you stop playing?" I started with the easy answer, work, bills, adulthood, then the harder answer slipped out. "Because it felt safer to be the guy who's reliable," I said. "If I tried and failed, it would mean something. If I never tried, I could pretend I was still capable." Ava nodded like she understood exactly. "Yeah," she said, "fear wears a lot of professional outfits." A week later, I went back to work Harper's office. Before I walked in, I stopped by a senior manager I trusted, Derek, the kind of calm person who made chaos feel solvable. I told him the Dallas schedule and said, "I want to lead, but I can't travel like that." Derek didn't laugh. He didn't dismiss me. He said, "Then propose a plan. Don't just say no, give them a yes," and so I did. In Harper's office, my voice shook, but my words didn't. "I can't do the travel," I said, "but I can lead parts remotely. We can staff someone on site for relationship management. I can handle analysis, planning, and deliverables from Chicago. I'll be available every day. I just won't be in Dallas 4 days a week." She stared at me like I'd broken a rule. "This is career limiting," she said. "Maybe," I said, "but saying yes to everything here is life limiting." We went back and forth. She pushed. I held. Finally, she said, "Fine, 1-month trial. If it fails, we revisit." My legs nearly gave out when I left her office. It wasn't a dramatic quitting scene. It was a boundary, and it was terrifying. But I felt lighter than any promotion could have made me. My life didn't become perfect overnight. I still worked long days sometimes. I still got anxious, but I also played every Thursday. I rehearsed twice a week. I started writing songs again, real ones, not just half lines in my head. I bought new strings. I put my guitar on a stand in the living room where I could see it. I also started noticing what I'd ignored, how my apartment felt like a waiting room, how I'd stopped calling my mom because I was busy, how I'd been eating dinner over my sink like I didn't deserve a table. I bought a cheap second-hand dining set and invited Jordan over just to eat and laugh. Small moves, but they added up to a life that felt inhabited. One night after rehearsal, Ava and I took a walk through a quiet neighborhood, leaves scraping the sidewalk. She said, "You've changed." "Good or bad?" I asked. "Good," she said. "You look like you're actually in your body now." She told me why open mic mattered to her. "I watched people drift," Ava said. "Friends who stopped making art because they thought they had to be practical. My dad worked himself into a husk. I decided I'd rather be scared than sleepy." Under a streetlight, she looked at me and said, "That first night you had that look, like your life was happening to you, and then you got on stage anyway." My throat tightened. I almost didn't. "But you did," Ava said, "and I'm proud of you." I didn't plan to fall for her. It happened the way music happens, slow, then all at once. I asked her to dinner, just dinner away from the stage. She said yes. We kept it easy, not because of games, but because we both knew what it felt like to lose yourself. We wandered a record store and argued over album covers. We shared cheap pancakes at a late-night diner. We sat by the lakefront in silence, letting the city's hum fill the space between us like a soft drum. Ava didn't save me. She didn't have to. She just kept pointing at the door and reminding me I could walk through it. A month later, Ava brought me to a community center that ran an after-school program. "They need volunteers for a music club," she said. "You should do it." "I'm not qualified," I argued. Ava pointed at me. "You know what it feels like to think you're too late. That's the qualification." So I showed up. The kids didn't care about polite applause. They cared if you were real. A boy named Noah looked at my guitar and said, "You actually play?" "I'm learning," I said. He frowned. "You look old." "Thanks," I said. "That's my brand." A girl named Mia asked to strum, and her face lit up when the strings rang. That light, surprise, pride, wonder, was the same thing I'd felt on that bar stage. The room was chaos at first, kids talking over each other, tapping on chairs like drums, arguing over who got the pick. I learned fast that teaching wasn't about being perfect, it was about being steady. Week by week, they learned chords. Week by week, they got louder, braver. Noah pretended he didn't care, but he never missed a session. Mia asked 100 questions and smiled every time she got an answer. In December, the center planned a winter fundraiser. Ava insisted the band play and she wanted the kids to join us for one song. I thought it was too much. The kids forgot chords. Someone snapped a string. Noah refused to sing. I started doubting everything. 2 nights before the event, I sat in my apartment spiraling, staring at my guitar like it might judge me. My phone buzzed. Ava texted, "Come outside." She stood under the streetlight with 2 hot chocolates, took one look at my face and said, "You're doing the I'm fine thing." "I'm fine," I said automatically. Ava rolled her eyes. "Fine is a liar," she reminded me. "Tell me the truth." "I'm scared," I admitted. "I'm scared I'm not good enough. That this spark is temporary, that I'll let them down." Ava stepped closer. "Passion isn't about being fearless," she said. "It's about being afraid and doing it anyway, and you're not doing this alone." The fundraiser filled the gym with paper snowflakes and crooked banners. Parents held phones up to record. Kids bounced like they were full of fireworks. Behind portable dividers, Noah sat with his hoodie up, arms crossed. "You ready?" I asked. "No," he said. "That's okay," I told him. "You don't have to be ready, you just have to go." Noah glared. "What if I mess up?" "Then you mess up in front of people rooting for you," I said. "It's weirdly great." 5 minutes before we went on, the cheap speaker system started popping like it was chewing on static. Panic spread across the volunteers' faces. The director looked at me like I was somehow in charge. I knelt by the cables, wiggled a loose connection, and taped it down with whatever I could find. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. When we started the song, the kids' voices wobbled, then steadied. Mia sang like she owned the mic. Halfway through, Noah leaned in and sang one clear line, strong, certain. My throat tightened. When the song ended, the gym erupted. Parents stood. Someone yelled like we were at a stadium. Noah's eyes went wide. He looked at me like he couldn't believe it. I grinned, "Told you." Afterward, he shuffled up and said, "That was kinda cool." "Yeah," I said, "it was." He hesitated. "Can I keep coming? Even when it's not a show?" "Absolutely," I said. "That's the point." Walking home that night, snow starting to fall, I realized the biggest change wasn't the band or Ava or even the music club. It was that I'd stopped treating my life like something to endure until weekends. I used to think passion had to be reckless, something you chased like a wildfire. Now I know it can be steadier than that. Passion can be a practice, showing up, choosing what's true, letting yourself care again and again, even when it's inconvenient, even when it scares you. If you've been feeling numb, like your world has gotten too quiet, you're not broken. You're not too late. Rust can be sanded off. Sometimes it takes one brave night to remember what makes you feel alive. And if this story hit you in any way, make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video. Comment below if you faced something similar or what your opinion is. Did you ever have to choose between comfort and your passion?